Have you ever seen a dog out in public and thought, that can't be a real service dog? Well, today we're going to talk about fake service dogs, and most importantly, stick around to the end where we're going to talk about what to actually do about this problem. Hi everyone, I'm Laura from Doggy U, and I'm a certified guide dog mobility instructor, service dog trainer, and trick dog trainer with 14 years of service dog training experience. Now, I want to be clear that we need to hold service dogs to a high standard of behavior. I'm very much for voluntary testing protocols for owner trainers, and I'm the person that's always advocating for purchasing a well-bred dog that's compatible with the work you want them to do. I even made a video about it. You can find it up here. But I also want to be clear is how I think that service dogs should behave is not what the actual ADA law says. So today I want to share my experience with fake service dogs because I have a little bit of a different take after 14 years in the industry of 40 hours a week working service dogs. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't fake service dogs out there or people abusing the system, but in my experience, most people with what you might point to and say is a fake service dog actually have a disability. Period. With up to 27% of the population having a disability, that's a huge number. Which leads me to my next point. A significant percent of the people that have a dog that isn't behaving appropriately for a service dog have a disability. And they're dealing with a few different factors that might explain the fake service dog interactions that you're seeing. First, it could be the wrong dog for the job. So it's a task-trained dog that isn't comfortable out in public. You're seeing a stressed out, anxious, or fearful dog that's out in public. And one of the things that a service dog needs to be is very comfortable out in public settings. Unfortunately, most dogs aren't appropriate for this job. Second is a lack of education or resources around service dogs and service dog training. This could mean that the person doesn't know how a service dog should behave, or they don't have the time, money, or energy needed to take their current dog and provide appropriate training, because they may not even know what appropriate training looks like, or they don't have enough spoons to make it happen. Or it's possible that they can't afford what the dog actually needs training-wise, which is something like consistent day training from a qualified trainer. And let's be honest, that's not within most people's budget. So of these problems, I'm trying really hard to work on the one that is within my control, which is access to free and low-cost education, because it is a huge problem. Instead of calling people out, maybe we can offer them some free resources that they can take advantage of. But we're going to talk more about solutions later on in the video. And because I am committed to those free and low-cost resources, I actually just created a brand new mini course on Training Foundation that's available now. And all you need to do is go down to doggyu.com, sign up for my weekly newsletter, and you will get that course delivered to your inbox that you can take advantage of and learn more about Dog Training Foundation. So if that interests you, check it out. All right, let's get back to it because I want to talk about the mindset I use to approach these issues. And this mindset has really been a game changer for me. If you operate under the premise that everyone is just doing their best, it's a lot easier to feel compassion for the person that you see out in public who has a dog that maybe isn't acting appropriately in that moment. I just say in my head, that person is doing their best, and then it allows me to operate from this place of compassion where I don't get bogged down with these unproductive feelings that can really just ruin my day. Another reason I think you're seeing a lot of these dogs that aren't a good fit for the job is because of the lack of appropriate healthcare in the United States. A service dog is something that someone can do proactively to help cope with their disability, and it doesn't require you to go through medical channels or insurance, sometimes making it a more feasible option. They're really just coping with their disability in the way that they have access to, and sometimes the dog that they have access to isn't the right fit for the job. It can also simply just be a person that's having a bad day. Bad days happen to people. And they also happen to dogs. You could be encountering a dog that's having just a bad day. Dogs aren't robots, and I covered that in another video that I'll put up here. And yes, it is the person's responsibility to remove the dog from the store if they're not behaving appropriately or they are causing problems for other people that are in the store. And also, a young dog especially can be having a bad day, and a young handler or a newer handler may not know how to handle that. Because let's be real, training a service dog is really freaking hard. And training an adolescent dog is sometimes like riding a roller coaster that you just cannot wait to get off of. So let's give everyone a little bit of grace here. Another thing you could be seeing is you could be catching that team on their worst day. I know that I have been in the mall, halfway into a mall, with a dog I was training, and the dog suddenly needed to use the bathroom. So I am running out of the mall, trying to get out of there as soon as possible. And if you only saw me on that one instance of that one day, it may not look like we are a service dog team. When in reality, the dog was actually just sick and needed to get outside. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about calling people out. When we call people out for fake service dogs, it perpetuates the idea with the general public that any service dog might be fake. It's not our job to judge other people. It's the store owner's job to follow ADA law and to ask a person to bring their dog out of the store if the dog is being disruptive or not following the law. Now, the employees may or may not take action against a dog that's behaving inappropriately, but ultimately, it's not our job. I mean, I know and I acknowledge that it does require superhuman restraint to not speak up in these situations, but unless the dog is directly impeding my ability to get through my day, it is not my personal job to kick a dog out of the store that I believe isn't exhibiting appropriate service dog behavior. That's the store owner's job. That's the employee's job. And also the ADA is really loose on their standards of what service dog behavior should look like. I may have different standards of what I think a dog should behave like and what I train my dogs to behave like, but the actual law is very different, and it only requires a disability and a task-trained dog and to not do a few things that could be grounds for an employee to ask them to leave the store. Another thing I want to bring up is the term fake service dog feels like it's often disproportionately attributed to little dogs, which further perpetuates the stereotype that little dogs can't be service dogs, which is simply untrue and is incredibly problematic. Also, calling out a person on their dog's behavior does not make a stressed out handler less stressed out. And likely through association, the dog will be more stressed and get worse the next time it's in public. And if you post it on social media, the person will likely never see that video, so it does nothing to fix the actual problem. And posting these fake service dog videos is often self-serving for the high views that they get on social media, and that in itself is really a problem. So stay tuned, I will talk more about what we can actually do to fix this problem. Not to mention that taping any other service dog team is wrong. You should not be taking videos or pictures of any other handler and their service dog without explicit permission. Finally, posting these fake service dog videos causes people to be scared to take their service dog out. You have handlers that have more anxiety about what people will think of their dog than actually wanting to take their dog out to help them mitigate their disability, and that is such a huge problem. I know that I've had particularly bad days where I'm not using my best handling skills because I'm having a panic attack in a Target and I'm just hoping that I can get out of there without causing a scene. And on those days, I have the additional stress of hoping that nobody is taping me to post online. What this call-out culture does is make new handlers scared that their dog doesn't match up to that 30-second clip that they saw on Instagram of a perfectly curated and perfectly behaved dog. And it is toxic for our community at large. So how do we handle these types of encounters, whether it be someone faking a disability and bringing a pet into a store, or a handler whose dog isn't exhibiting appropriate etiquette or behavior? First, train against these distractions. You are never going to stop barky dogs from being on flexi leads in public. It's just not gonna happen. So work with your dog on distraction training. If your dog can't ignore a barky dog in public, it's probably not yet ready for non-pet friendly stores, and that's okay. Train for the weird, train for the barky dog. You will 100% encounter them. Service dog work is never undertaken under ideal circumstances. Barky, lungy, distracting dogs are part of the landscape. So I work hard to teach my dog that a distraction means engagement with me. And if you want to learn more about teaching neutrality, head on over to patreon.com/doggyu and join the Doggyu community, where there's over 150 Patreon exclusive videos, including a deep dive into teaching neutrality. The second one is practicing defensive handling. This is good etiquette anyway. Don't work your dog near another handler if possible, whether you suspect the dog is well trained or not. Giving handlers space is good for everyone. And if you recognize the dog working as a guide dog working with a blind or visually impaired handler, then give them a wide berth and lots of space because they probably aren't going to be able to create that space from you. The third one is that it isn't your job to fight every alligator, it's your job to cross the river. I heard this quote recently and I really liked it. My job isn't to feel hostility every time I go out and work my dog. My job is to get myself and my service dog safely through the day. Do alligators and poorly behaved dogs make it much harder for me to do that? For sure. But I can't fight every alligator and I'll probably lose a limb or two and also my peace of mind if I try to. And I want to leave you with this. The way to combat poorly trained service dogs and fake service dogs at the same time is access to education. Providing education and access to free and low-cost resources helps everyone better understand service dog etiquette and expectations, and it causes you to be part of the solution. So here's some things that you can do to help. Create a local meetup where handlers can come learn from each other. Puppy raise if you have the ability to do so. Share resources from dog trainers that you enjoy learning from. And if you're an experienced trainer or handler, create those resources yourself. Carry a card around with resources that a handler who's struggling might find helpful. I have a card that literally just says free training resources and has a QR code that links to my website. If it seems appropriate, and big emphasis on being appropriate, approach someone and start a conversation from a place of curiosity and compassion and not shame. This can bring them into the community instead of expelling them. We all had to start somewhere, and if it seems appropriate, offer them some free resources to check out. All of these things will help better educate the public and those within our community that are just trying their best. Knowledge and education is everything. And if you want to learn more about the standards that I hold myself and my clients to and how I use opt-in testing to create a path of goals and milestones for my service dog to reach, check out this video here. You all have an awesome day and happy training.